The Podcasting Dead is available on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Make sure to subscribe for more podcasts. And while you're at it, drop us a like. If you want to help support the channel and have access to extra content, secret contest, and more, make sure to search for us on Patreon. Patreon.com/ThePodcastingDead.
All right, time for a Friday edition of Walking Dead What Ifs. I'm Justin.
I'm JP.
And we're the Podcasting Dead. And a little announcement before we jump into this. And if you're new to the channel, you're probably thinking, I don't really care about what you're about to say. But for those that do listen regularly, I wanted to make sure you realize next week we're going to be on vacation. JP will be out on Monday, right?
Yes.
So we will probably do a fear, or maybe, we'll do a live stream Sunday to make up. I don't know. But if nothing else, we'll do a fear review on Tuesday. And then we'll have Weird Wednesday. And then from that point on, we'll probably be gone, but we'll be back the following Monday on regular schedule. So just wanted to give you a heads up. We're not going nowhere, but we're both going on a little vacation. Separate vacations, because no matter how much I beg JP, he wouldn't come with me.
No.
But anyways, today we are taking Walking Dead what-if scenarios that you have suggested, and we're going to discuss them. So without further ado, JP, you got it pulled up.
Yeah, man, I got them pulled up. I'm going to go from, instead of like going up the list, I'm going to hit one per person, and then we'll see where we are after that. But I want at least everyone to get one of their,
that's
what-ifs
fair.
in. So.
That's fair.
So we'll start it out like that. And Corlin Penny, the sex bot, says, wow.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, wow, Corlin. Okay. First up is a Christian. What if Shane never died but was instead off on his own to survive? Who do you think he would most likely end up with? Woodbury, the Saviors, the Wolves, the Whisperers, or even Terminus? Or do you think he would make his own group?
I definitely don't think Terminus. I don't think Shane would have been down with eating people.
No, I don't think the Wolves either. He would have thought they were just stupid.
He would have thought they were just crazy. I definitely could see Woodbury or the because Shane and the governor were a lot alike in the fact that like they they just had these tempers that just turned them into lunatics, which could make some friction actually, you know what I mean? So they might not. I believe I would say the Saviors. If I had to pick one, he'd fit in the best.
I definitely think he would have fit in the best there. I think I guess locality wise, Woodbury would have. Probably,
it made sense.
He would have found, but I think he definitely would have made a badass Savior.
Oh yeah, no, I think he would. You're right. I think he would fit in better with the Saviors, but I also think timeline wise, and like you said, location and time, they met the Saviors in Virginia, so or around Virginia. So it's whereas the Woodbury was in Georgia. So yeah, most likely he would have ended up in Woodbury,
and he might have ended up toppling the governor and taking that whole community over. Who's to say?
And being just as sadistic. I believe Shane would have just got more and more sadistic over time, and then being with someone like the governor who not only accepts the sadism but encourages it and wants to do all this. I don't know that I could see Shane that early on his own though, being willing to kill a bunch of soldiers and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I think over time Shane could have eventually became a monster and would have probably done it, but I don't know out the gate if he would have been down for that. But I definitely think Woodbury.
Yeah, same here. So that's a good one, Christian, and we might just come back to you. He's got one involving Merle and Daryl.
Oh, one of your favorite characters.
Yeah, so if nothing else, Christian, if we don't get to it later on, we'll definitely field that one in the next vid. But anyway, moving on to Stefan Miller. What if the governor met Rick straight out of the coma at Atlanta? Before the governor's daughter died, I'd like to think he would have been a good guy. I think we've maybe done one.
I thought no. You know what? Maybe I'm thinking Negan. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just thought we had done that, but we did ask. Somebody had asked us if Rick and Negan would have met sooner.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Continue. I'm an ass.
Okay, before the governor's daughter died, I'd like to think he would have been a good guy. He meets the governor and his daughter instead of Morgan and his son. How would this have changed the entirety of the show? Would the governor have lasted as long as Morgan? And part 2, what if he met Madison and Alicia / Nick out of the coma instead of Morgan?
If he'd have met the governor, I feel like the governor always had. It depends on if his daughter was alive or not.
Yeah, well, he's saying in this, basically instead of Morgan and Duane, he meets the daughter and governor.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. If the governor's daughter stayed alive the entire time, once he got with Rick, I feel like they would have got along fine and would have been, good companions. But then I feel that if his daughter was to die still in the future, then, because he that psycho, it feels like the governor had that in him all along.
Yeah, losing his daughter definitely broke something inside of him, and all that inner crazy just came pouring out.
So I feel like his daughter is kind of the levee there. If she breaks, then if that's gone, then he's crazy. So I really think I do think they would have got along in the beginning.
Well, think about this, man. Imagine instead of Sophia running into the woods, it was the governor's daughter, and Rick, hides her in the creek bed, and then she's missing. And instead of Sophia coming out of the barn, it was the governor's daughter, man. He would have flipped shit.
Then they would have had that. That would have been really good, because that would have been good friends, now enemies. Kind of like Shane, but on a whole nother level.
Right.
That, man. I feel like that would have been the way it would have played out.
Yeah.
In my mind, that's just too perfect not to use now.
And then Shane probably would have been like, "Look, Rick, we gotta take this dude Philip out. He's crazy, man, and he blames you. He gonna end up killing you and everybody else."
Which is interesting, because the show, they kind of allude, because the novel Rise of the Governor is supposed to be in the comic universe. And and it's a really good book, and I'm sorry, but it's been out for a decade now, so I'm going to spoil it a little bit. Sorry. But, the whole end of that book that I didn't like, everything leading up to it was good. However, they tried to do a plot twist, and it didn't really work. They should have done. So basically the book ends, so you got Philip, which is the governor's brother, actually. The governor's real name is Brian. That's the governor's actual name in the comic, in the book. So they go through this whole thing, and his brother, Philip, is actually the one that's starting to become more and more depraved as the book goes on. His daughter dies, and he catches the man and woman who are responsible, and rapes the woman repeatedly.
Jesus Christ.
All this messed up stuff. And then, the whole time Brian's refusing to become the sadist that his brother is. And then the book ends, Penny, and also in this universe, Penny was not even the governor's real daughter. She was his brother's daughter. But so she, once she dies, the brother keeps her, and he starts feeding her and stuff like that. And then Philip, the brother, ends up dying. So at the end, the governor realizes he has to become his brother to make it in this world. So basically, the entirety of the governor's time on the Walking Dead comics was a coward playing pretending to be his brother, and that's why he was doing all the depraved things he was. He thought his brother would have done it. They should have just done it. It was a great book, terrible ending. What they should have done, I'm telling you, is have the plot twist be that the whole time you've thought the book was focused on Brian and he was going to become the governor, but then he dies off and Philip is the actual governor. You know what I mean?
Right.
Make you think you're following the wrong character the whole time, thinking that that he becomes the governor, yada, yada, yada. But Philip had everything. It just made sense. It was organic for Philip to become the governor. Everything that he, the governor does in the comic, this character slowly delved into madness, and it would have been perfect that he becomes the governor. But instead, they tried to be like Brian is just assuming Philip's identity, and he calls himself Philip from there forward.
Yeah, that's weird.
And it just was I see what they were trying to do, but it didn't work. They could have just had plot twist. Now the main character you've been following is dead, and actually Philip is really the governor. It would have been oh shit, cool. But so in the show they don't really delve into that as much. He uses the name Brian when he meets the Tara and her sister at the apartment, and then with the new group. And then, but tells Angela his name is Philip. So I feel like Brian was a fake name, and in the show his real name was actually Philip. It's confusing, I know. But
I know in the comic, the governor looks a lot like Danny Trejo.
Yep.
Was he actually Mexican, or did he just have? Because
I think they did. I think they did kind of delve into his nationality a little bit.
So I was just gonna say, man, I've never met a Mexican dude named Brian or Philip. Those are Midwestern white dude names.
Philip maybe
work at a carpet store or something.
Yeah, I could see Philip perhaps, but you're right. I've never met some. Unless they just have their family's been here for a long, long time. But
yeah, but I was just saying, like I said, it seems like some dude in Arizona that wants to sell you a used Volvo, white guy with the sweater vest. Hi, my name's Philip. This one's only got 70,000 miles on it. But anyway.
Good way to look at it.
Yeah, but going on to part 2, man, Madison and Alicia and Nick meet Rick right out of the coma.
That would have been super cool.
I mean, we know for one thing, Nick would have loved to have met their folks at the camp at Alexandria, Merle and Daryl having drugs.
Yeah,
been down with that. Well, first, I imagine they probably would have been in the hospital because Nick would have been looking for some like oxy or something, you know? And then they find Rick just stumbling out of a coma. And
that's a really hard one to pull off, though, considering they started where? In Texas? No, they're in Texas.
California, right?
Was it California? Started on the West Coast. I mean, how the hell did they get all the way to Georgia? So you'd have to figure that out.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like that would have definitely been some interesting, because like Rick could have gotten close to Madison and Nick and them on the road, and then once they get there, Nick kind of falls in with Negan. I mean, with Merle and, well, I won't say Daryl wasn't really using drugs. It didn't seem like, but that would have got confusing. Yeah. Rick and Nick.
Yeah.
Nick, Rick.
Yeah.
Every time you said Rick, both would be like, what?
Oh, man.
I think that would have been good, though. I definitely think, Rick, a former cop, being on the road with a drug addict would have been interesting, because I'm sure Rick views drug addicts a certain way because he's used to dealing with them in a criminal capacity. Nick probably looking at Rick as a cop. But like I said, the toughest part about that would be how do they get all the way from, the West Coast to the East Coast that early into the apocalypse?
Yeah. You think Alicia and Glenn would have got together before he even got to Herschel's farm and met Maggie?
Man, that's a good question. I don't know, man. Alicia, well, no, she was banging out Troy's brother there for a little while. Say Alicia hadn't really showed romantic interest in a while. Perhaps. Especially that early into the apocalypse. Maybe.
Yeah, so that's a good
Glenn would have been the pimp
there.
daddy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, imagine that love triangle, man. Alicia, Glenn, and then you got Maggie coming in the mix.
Oh, man. He might have just had a little polygamy going on.
Yeah.
Look, guys, the world's ended. Things are different. Why not?
And we got this nice barn over here. We can.
It's the barn of pleasures.
There you go.
Where we encourage polygamy. Yeah. Why do you only have 2 wives?
Yeah.
Even Shiva here has 5. Of course, remember, Shiva is Jerry in a tiger suit.
That's true. We've got some good stuff coming from Allie Smith. What if Eugene and Rosita ended up together? That's part 1. So Eugene and Rosita, could you see them ever actually being a couple?
Well, they were in the comic.
Yeah, they did. I mean,
it was a very odd relationship.
Yeah,
she was
more just
cheating on him.
I was gonna say, kind of just practicality, just throwing that butt at him. I don't know.
I bet, man. We joke. I feel like the thought would be Eugene and her. Gonna get a little graphic here. I apologize, but Eugene and her would get together, and he'd give her 2 seconds of loving before he was like,
"Oh yeah,
I need about 10 minutes and a warm towel."
Right.
But watch, Eugene would tear that booty to pieces, and Rosita would be like, "Hot damn, I've been missing out."
Yeah, man, I'm sure he's got a lot of pent up sexual frustration. Yeah. But I don't know.
I mean, we've seen the way it worked out in the comic. I feel like it would work out much the same in the show. I mean, Rosita's thing, like you said, man, it was just practicality and familiar. It was something familiar after losing Abraham. So, I feel like with Eugene, I feel like in the show, Rosita's such a alpha herself. I feel like she almost needs an alpha.
Right.
I feel like that's the kind of thing, which, I mean, is interesting. I say that, and she was banging both Sadiq and Father Gabriel, neither one of which I would consider an alpha. So maybe not. Maybe, I mean, that wasn't the way it was in the show. Maybe Rosita doesn't need an alpha. Maybe her and Glenn, and Eugene in the show would have actually been happy together. I feel like she definitely has feelings for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know that she necessarily wants to bang him, but I think she's definitely got love in her heart for him. And vice versa, but I don't know. How do you think it would work out?
I just don't really see them together, man. I'm not saying she wouldn't throw a little butt at him, but I don't. I see them more being kind of the brother sister sort of dynamic, which, like I said, I guess can be fun to sort of test the waters on, but as far as longevity, I just don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a fun fling for a little while, but, I don't know if it would stand the test of time.
I just see Eugene having, like, I don't know, a bad smell to him. I don't know.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. You mean like bad just overall, or are we talking about
I just think I mean, not necessarily BO. I just think he'd be one of those people that smells kind of weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a good short and sweet one from Allie Smith, so we're going to go to part 2 of hers. What if Morgan killed zombified Jenny when he had the chance? Imagine Duane and Carl as a pair of badass walker-fighting 12-year-olds. That'd been pretty cool.
Yeah. It would have been cool to see. I mean, we really didn't get a chance to know Duane very well. I mean, it could have been Carl's the badass and Duane's scared of stuff. I mean, I don't know. Duane never really. I mean, he was. I mean, again, though, he's a little young kid, but I don't know. It'd be interesting. I mean, it would definitely be quite a change. It's hard to speculate on just because in the comics it was pretty much the same thing. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see how Morgan would be with Duane, how his story would have progressed with Duane still alive. I feel like he still would have become savage, but not crazy. I'm so glad. I'm really hoping that what we got in Fear the Walking Dead this past Sunday is like, confirmation that Morgan is this whole all lives are precious bullshit is behind him. Like, again, he's not out just murdering people like he was when he was clearing. Just killing anyone that moves, but he's now kind of found that balance between, like, I'm not going to kill innocent people, but if you mess with me, I'll kill you.
Yeah. I really hope they pick up right there with Morgan. I hope we don't.
That's my fear, man. Friday, it's going to go back to like Alicia and them, and we won't see Morgan at all. And it's like, okay, look, Morgan was one of my favorites from The Walking Dead, and I was excited when they put him on Fear, and then they made his character so bland on Fear that I no longer loved Morgan. After this premiere, I love Morgan again, and I'm very interested in his story and would like to continue to see it. Please don't.
Yeah, time will tell.
Bounce between stories, man. It always works the best. Instead of, other than Morgan. Now, Morgan had his own solo episode, and it was pretty legit. But, I mean, don't. The Walking Dead used to have a bad habit of that. They'd get in, like, when they were all separated after the prison, like, you'd get really into a Rick episode, and then you'd be, like, back with Daryl and Beth, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
One more from Allie Smith. What if Isabel from Fear the Walking Dead is Lieutenant Colonel Elizabeth Kubik's missing daughter?
Wait, what? Say that again?
What if Isabel from Fear the Walking Dead is Lieutenant Colonel Elizabeth Kubik's missing daughter?
I thought she was. Talking about the girl that was around the radiation and stuff, right? The one that Morgan kind of had like a little love interest in.
I was going to say, I hope that you recognize some of these names better than I do.
I thought she was. I might be wrong, but I thought that was pretty much confirmed that she was her daughter.
Okay, well, we'll have to do a little research.
Yeah, we'll do some research and get back to that one. Let us know if we're wrong too, because hey, I'm in the habit of being wrong a lot, so I don't mind being corrected.
All right, now we got a pretty fun one from Jonas Bilili. All right,
I love fun ones. And I love Jonas, so
yeah,
it works out.
What if you could assemble a team of your top 5 characters from the Walking Dead universe, and their mission is to extract you from Raccoon City, but with the zombies from 28 Days Later?
Oh my God,
this is crazy! This is crazy. Yeah. Plot twist: A, your 4th member makes the sacrifice play. Your 5th member is going to F things up along the way. Your 2nd member is going toe-to-toe with Nemesis. Your 1st member is going to transform into Nemesis.
What?
In the end, you end up in bed with your 3rd member and live happily ever after.
Well, I got to remove Daryl from that part. Yeah. Hold on, let me see. All right, wait a minute. I'm going to write this down.
Yeah, do some
I was going to
writing.
say, let me do the writing, because I know you don't know as much about the Resident Evil thing. So you could definitely put your team together, but I'll kind of guide you how I do mine, so you kind of get the idea.
While you put yours together, do you want to hear what Jonas's team consists of, or you want to save that for last?
Wait, save that, because I don't want to draw off of his. You know what I mean? All right, so tell me that again. So my 1st member turns into Nemesis?
Okay, your 1st member is going to transform into Nemesis.
And the 2nd member is going to go toe-to-toe with Nemesis?
Yes.
All right, and I'm going to bang my 3rd member?
Your 3rd, yeah. and you fall in love and live happily ever after. So
Daryl,
I'm assuming
you've been moved.
Yeah, I'm assuming they at least get you out of the city.
What's my fourth one?
Your fourth one is a sacrificial lamb.
Okay. Let me see. Sacrifice. Damn, Jonas, you really put some work into this one, man. I can appreciate that. All right, and my fifth one is the one that messes it up, right?
Yes.
But it doesn't necessarily mean they die. They just mess it up.
No, just they mess things up along the way.
I feel like the mess up has got to be Merle.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Well, and two, Merle's got combat experience.
He does.
You know, I mean,
He'd
he
be
was
good to have, yeah.
You know, Merle would be good to have on your side. He can fight. He's got military training. I mean, we see that, you know, really the only two reasons he died at the governor's hand was A, because right when he went to take the governor out, that kid stepped in the way. And then he got jumped by, you know, the governor's men before the governor got to him. And he was drunk. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you know, I think toe-to-toe, I would have loved, not getting too far off topic, I would have loved to have seen an alternate universe where the governor had Daryl, and was about to kill him. Because I believe that Merle fighting for Daryl could take the governor.
Unstoppable.
I think he would take the governor.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to bang my third member.
Yeah.
Okay, that's easy. That's Rosita. I was going to say Rosita or Maggie.
I was going to say, well, you and Jonas are on point with that.
Because I was going to say Maggie. And Maggie is very strong, and Maggie is a good fighter. But I feel like when it comes down to the brass tacks of it all, Rosita is a better combatant than Maggie. And she's very attractive. So if I have to fall in love and have sex with my third person, I would probably say Rosita. Jess would be my number one. I don't know why, of all the women on this show, Jess is still like the top for me.
Yeah.
But I don't think she would have much to offer in the combat.
Last long.
Rosita's been militarily trained by like Abraham and other people. You know, I mean, I don't think she was actually in the military, but I know she's been trained by like Abraham and stuff. I mean, we know she's very tactical. She can go hand to hand. She held her own against Beta and that Whisperer, you know, the whole Sadiq thing.
Yes.
So, you know, Rosita can do it, man. I think Maggie's strong, but I think like between Rosita and Maggie would probably whoop. I mean, Rosita would whoop that ass. Yeah. So Rosita is going to be my number 3, and Merle's going to be my number 5. I mean, I can't think of anybody else to be a better number 5. Someone who's going to mess it up, but still offer some kind of, you know what I mean? Like they're going to mess things up, but they're also going to offer ability, if you will. So I mean, I feel like Merle's perfect for that. And I'm trying to go with what fits. I mean, of course, I could throw like Daryl in that role, but. Gonna become Nemesis. I'd pick like Carl, so he'd be like a little mini Nemesis.
Yeah, it'd be a little easier to do.
Let's see. So the first one becomes Nemesis. The second one has to square off against Nemesis. I really feel like just because of the way the show's played out, I would have Daryl square off against Nemesis because he squared off with Beta and was very resourceful in the way that he fought Beta. You know what I mean? So I feel like Daryl would do. I mean, not that I don't think Rick could do it because Rick has definitely been put in some sticky situations. But I feel like Daryl would probably be the one that could take Nemesis. And now so the main two I got to pick is Sacrifice and Nemesis. Sacrifice is tough because I'm going to lose them. I mean, I want to throw Rick in there because, I mean, Rick's leadership is what has gotten them. Mm-hmm. So Rick needs to be, you know what? I'm going to put Rick on my Sacrifice. And I say that because Rick has already attempted to sacrifice himself once for everybody. Yeah. So we know he will do it if it needs to be done. And on top of that, at least, even though he would sacrifice himself, hopefully he will have gotten close to the objective before he dies.
Yeah. Now,
who to become Nemesis? I really wanted to put Michonne on there. I don't know that I could handle Michonne in the bedroom. That's why Rosita got that one. I think Michonne, because I think the ultimate female character on this show ever is Michonne. I think when it comes to who's the best fighter, Michonne. Who's the smartest, Michonne. I think she's got everything going for her, but I just don't know if I could handle that in the bedroom. All right, so then now I got to pick someone to become Nemesis. That's a
tough one.
That's the one that throws a wrench in everything. Let me think of a character I don't like who I wouldn't mind becoming Nemesis. Let's say
I mean, Tyrese definitely would be big enough to be a good Nemesis.
Well, and I got to pick. I can't pick. They got to all be good guys because I would definitely say Beta.
Oh God, yeah, Beta's obviously. Yeah.
I'm gonna put that Jonas. I don't know if you intended like they all had to be good guys, or if I just got to pick 5 characters.
Universe,
So in this universe, for whatever reason, Beta's now teamed up with them. Maybe not permanently, but they've got a similar objective. Perhaps Alpha's stuck here too, or something. So he agrees to team up with us. So Beta is going to become Nemesis. Daryl is then going to square off against Nemesis. Rosita is who I am going to fall madly in love with and hook up with. Rick is going to lead the team valiantly, but ultimately have to sacrifice himself to save everyone. And then the reason why he has to sacrifice himself to save everyone is because Merle messed everything up.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
How do you like my team?
I think it's solid, man. I think it's solid.
Do you want to throw them in there, or what do you want to do?
All right, I'll throw.
All right, who becomes Nemesis for you?
It's going to be Shane.
Oh, man! Then you would have to have
Rick. So Rick is obviously going to be number 2.
I knew you were going to outdo me on this, and you don't even play those games. All right, number 3.
3 would be Victor Strand. 4 to make the sacrifice play, just because he'd be an asset, and we know he's up to doing that. I guess Abraham.
Oh yeah.
And the 5th member is going to F things up along the way.
You know you want to throw Merle in there too. I mean, you know you want Merle in your team.
But just to switch it up, I'll go with Princess, just because that's kind of what happened. I mean,
you know what? I didn't think about that.
She means well, but she's still probably going to screw things up.
Which,
along the way.
if they keep her like the comics, though, she is an asset in combat. She could throw down.
Yeah, dude.
You definitely got it. You got a good lineup there. Hell, possibly better than mine. Like I said, my reasoning is that Beta is huge, and he already is like Nemesis.
He basically is the Walking Dead's version of Nemesis.
I mean, he's just this big, huge, hulking thing. Daryl, we've seen, is very resourceful when fighting Beta, which leads me to think that Daryl would stand the best chance against Nemesis. And then, obviously, I think Rosita is hot, and her combat experience would be useful. Rick, we know, would sacrifice himself, and I hate to see him go. And then Merle, that's just what Merle would do. Is the mission would be a hand, and then he would find like some crystal meth in a building and run after it. But I like yours, man. What I really like the most about yours is the Shane and Rick. Shane becomes Nemesis, and then Rick's got to fight Nemesis.
What about me living happily ever after with Victor Strand?
I mean, I've already had that vision in my head many, many times. So,
but here's Jonas's, man, and you and Jonas actually lined up a couple of times. Number 1 for Jonas is Glenn. He would be the navigator, and he would be the one. What's number 1
to turn into
Nemesis? 2 is Michonne. She's close quarter defense. She would end up fighting Glenn Nemesis.
Yeah, Michonne wouldn't be bad in that.
Rosita is number 3, much like yourself. He said she's the explosive specialist, and apparently her and Jonas are gonna, be making sweet love. Althea is number 4. She would be the transport.
Oh, I didn't even think about Fearcast.
Yeah, so she would be the transport, and she would make the sacrifice play. And 5, again, lining up with you, would be Merle as our homophobic, druggy racist.
If I had to pick somebody from Fear to become Nemesis, it'd be Morgan. Just because of all that built up and pent up rage, and like he starts seeing red, and then once he becomes Nemesis, it's just permanent red. You know what I mean? He's got that in him. So if I had to pick someone from Fear to become Nemesis, it would definitely be Morgan.
But like they screw up the programming, so instead of going and killing people, he just stops people from killing other people.
Like you're gonna go kill. All of a sudden, you see Nemesis bust through a wall. Yeah. Stop.
Yeah.
Good question, Jonas. That's the kind of stuff I like, man. I like when I have to pull a pen and pad out to answer the question.
Yeah. So we're left with UV, who has got about 3. Let's see.
Did Jonas have any more?
No, that was it from Jonas.
Oh, wow. Good job,
yeah,
Jonas.
Good stuff from Jonas.
Awesome.
Well,
I really like your pick for Princess, too, for messes things up. If I didn't pick Merle, I would definitely pick Princess, because you're exactly right. I mean, Princess would be the one to come in with the best of intentions, be a combative asset, but at the same time do something really stupid.
You're right.
And just throw everything. So I think between the two of us, we came up with some pretty good, pretty solid lineups there.
All right, here's a good one from UV, and it kind of ties back to what we were talking about earlier with what if the governor and it ties into a couple we've seen so far. It's what if Morgan and his son went with Rick in season 1 instead of going their separate ways. And,
I wish they would have.
Yeah, we've kind of touched on that. We think Morgan might not have went quite as crazy quite as soon. At least
Do you think he would have still ended up becoming Cowboy Morgan?
I think that was in his destiny. Yeah,
Cowboy Morgan. If I don't hear him say, "You've yeed your last haul, cowboy," to somebody, it's all for naught.
Yeah, I'm really, really hoping we see a lot of him this season. Well, we got to. He's basically the lead at this point.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I feel like, if Morgan went with Rick and them, things would be a lot different. I still feel like Duane was destined to die.
You think that was just going to happen?
Yes,
no matter what?
I think now it might have been different. I mean, I still think he would see red and go crazy, but I think that, when it was just him and Duane, there was nobody there when he went red. Nobody there to bring him back or to, so I mean, he was on his, I mean, we saw after spending all that time with Eastman, being around someone with some guidance, Morgan can I don't want to say be controlled, but he can control his own emotions better.
Yeah.
When Duane died, it was just Morgan and Duane, so there was nobody there, and Morgan just went crazy. Whereas if he were with like Rick and Dale would make that Dale face at him and just shut that shit down real quick. What if it was Duane that ran off instead of Sophia? And Duane came out the barn.
Morgan saw that, man.
As soon as he started, seeing red, he'd have turned around, and there would have been Dale just looking out the house from his nose up, making a Dale face, and Morgan would have been like, "All lives are precious."
You think that would have negated things just right there?
I think between Herschel, Dale, and some of the other people there, I believe Morgan would have been able to gotten himself back a lot faster, a lot easier, if he would have went with Rickett.
Yeah. But that's something we may never know. Well, I guess we'll never will know it because they're not going to retcon.
That, man, I almost wish they would do that. I mean, I'm excited for the Tales from the Walking Dead, like the backstories and stuff. But how cool would that be, like Elseworlds Walking Dead story? Kind of like how they did with Michonne, showing her alternate path had she have not have saved Andrea. I mean, that was brilliant. That was well done. It was believable. And it only took, 5-6 minutes of the episode? And that might have been longer than that, but it wasn't much longer. I mean, do that. Give us a couple of Walking Dead what-if episodes versus Tales from the Walking Dead to where, again, where, like I said, Duane and Morgan go, "You know what, Rick?" Like, show the same part of that whole scene, but then have Morgan go, "You know what, Rick? If you don't mind, I think we're going to go with you." And then show us how it would have played out,
And they could easily do that.
Have Shane and Lori, or have... what if Shane would have gotten Rick out the hospital and lugging Rick's body around the whole time? He stinks. He keeps shitting himself. When's he gonna wake up? But that would be so cool, man.
Yeah, I would like that a lot. And that would be because Disney Plus is going to start doing Marvel What Ifs. Yeah. Which, I mean, it's going to be an animated series, but, The Walking Dead could do something similar.
That'd be so cool, man. I mean, there's so many more. Like I said, I mean, you could have, again, I still think the one what if nobody's ever asked that I'm so shocked is what if Rick wouldn't have seen Lori when he was talking to Tyrese and them? Because, Herschel was kind of getting through to him. It's like, you got to start letting people in, Rick. And Rick kind of was thinking about it, and I feel like was about to turn around and say, "Okay, fine, but until we, get to know you, you got to stay in a separate cell block, whatever." But then he saw Lori, and he's like, "What do you want? I don't want you here. Go. I got things and stuff." Lori, damn it.
That was a really weird arc they did with him seeing Lori.
Yeah, I didn't really care for that.
I mean, I'd have been cool with the whole telephone thing where he's hearing her voice.
That's all they had to do.
Just seeing Ghost Lori, that was kind of dumb.
"I can't help you."
Him just wandering around the yard at the prison.
I mean, clearly, I can't believe no one there didn't. I mean, I know they thought he was just kind of shell-shocked, but I can't believe no one there questioned, has Rick started doing drugs?
Right.
He's out there digging up grass.
Yeah, did he find some shrooms growing under a cow patty or something?
But that's a great Walking Dead what if. What if Rick didn't see Ghost Lori in that moment? Would he have let Tyrese and Sasha and those two other very forgettable characters into the prison? And if he did, how would that have played out? Would they have, how would it have worked with them on their side from the beginning against the governor? And but I can't believe no one's ever asked that.
Do you think they should bring Ghost Lori back for the last season?
Please, God, don't bring Lori back in any capacity.
No.
Like I said, you've heard me say a million times, I did not hate Lori in the way that other people hated Lori. I did not like Lori at the end of season 2 because that was, excuse my language, I'm going to say it.
Say it.
It was fucking stupid. You sit in the tent with Rick. You sit in the tent with Rick and basically say, she didn't tell Rick to kill Shane, but she more or less told Rick something's got to be done about Shane. He's going to kill someone. Blah, 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 blah. And then Rick, I fucked the camera for the rest of that episode. And then Rick tells you, like, he killed Shane, which I could understand your reaction being one of shock at first. I get that. But once Rick explained, Shane and you had corroborating stories. Like Daryl had said, they didn't find a walker that bit blah, blah, blah. And that, Daryl said it looked like Shane and Rand. Like, Daryl could collaborate that story, and be like, no, he basically already said that something was fishy with the way that Randall got out and where Shane was and all of that. Like, they already knew that. Yeah. So I can understand being shocked when Rick said that he killed Shane. But the whole, like she pushed him and whatever, that was stupid. And then as soon as Rick tells you that the man took him out in the woods, let Randall loose, killed Randall, took him out in the woods, it was all a plot to kill him so that he could have Lori and Carl. Something Lori knows the entire time Shane has been wanting to do is, I'm not going to say he's necessarily wanted to kill Rick this whole time, but she knows Shane wants Carl and her for himself.
Yeah.
This all makes sense and is collaborated by other people in the group, like Glenn and Daryl. But instead of, just dealing with the shock on your own, you treat Rick like he's done something horrible and unforgivable when it's like you, number one, kind of instigated this happening. Number two, that's when I stopped liking Lori. But up to that point, I had no problem with Lori. Up to that point, I had zero issues with Lori. It was Andrea who, if I had, talking just, I guess, a female lead that I couldn't stand, it was Andrea.
Yeah, Lori, they really kind of screwed the pooch in writing her last arc or two. Or, I guess the last arc, just that prison stuff.
And I don't mind Sarah Wayne Collies, who plays Lori. I think she's a fine actress, and it's nothing it's kind of like Andrea. Again, it's nothing the actor did. It's just the way the character was written. But, no, Andrea was but I mean, you could do so many cool what ifs. I mean, what if Shane and Lori never hooked up? Like, show where they first go to hook up and Lori turns him down.
Yeah.
How would Shane have been around Rick then if he'd never gotten some hanky-panky time with the Lori?
Would cuckolding have mended the whole situation if the three of them had just worked out their differences in the bedroom?
So who would have watched, though?
I think they would have taken turns.
You think so?
I think so, yeah.
You're my best friend, Rick.
Rub my shoulders while I drill your lady from behind.
You look so tense, Shane. Come here. No, but there's so many cool. I'm trying to think of realistic ways they could branch off. Like I said, I really think they could do a what if Morgan and Duane would have went with Rick? Yeah. What if, hell, you could do, like I always too thought the whole Merle taking Andrea and damn it, I can't think. I'm sorry. I always thought the whole Merle taking Maggie and Glenn prisoner thing was kind of stupid. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I feel like I know that the whole main reason was, he wanted to find out where his brother was. Yeah. But Glenn had said, I'll go get your brother and I'll bring him to you. There's just no way you can convince me that Merle wouldn't have went with that. I know he was impatient or whatever, but there's no way Merle would have thought taking them captive would have gotten them. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. The only way I can spin it as being logical in my mind is that he was just trying to get in the governor's good graces and find his brother at the same time. But it's Glenn. Glenn isn't a bad dude. Like, he spent time with Glenn. Glenn said, stay here. I'll bring him to you. If I was that hung up on wanting to see my brother, I would have taken that deal.
Yeah.
Or hell, he could, Merle's not stupid. Merle could have said, okay, and then followed him to the prison.
Yeah.
I thought that whole thing was kind of, so maybe you could do a what if Merle actually didn't take him? Like how would things have worked out if they would have went and got Daryl and Daryl would have, because then they wouldn't have had none of the bad blood with Merle the way that they did with him beating Glenn and taking, letting the governor do what he did to Maggie and all of that. He might have actually, granted, he'd have been hard to get along with, but he would have probably integrated into the prison crowd a lot easier.
He would have.
Then you wouldn't have had that whole Daryl and Merle side story.
Yeah, I would like to see What If stuff playing on AMC, but the thing is, AMC, they don't give their audience for being smart enough to put something like that on television.
No, they don't. Well, hell, they don't trust their viewers either. I mean, again, I don't care how they try to spin it. The whole Negan cliffhanger of who did Negan kill? That was all just a ploy to get your ratings up for the season 7, episode 1. That's the only reason you did it. And the sad thing is, yes, the viewership was through the roof, but guess what? A lot of people quit watching after that.
They did.
They wanted to stay on just long enough to find out. But I mean, a lot of people were pissed at that. I mean, you had built it up, and we were so ready, and tonight's the night. And then, okay, now you got to wait 7 months. I mean, I could have understood maybe more of a mid-season finale where you only have like 2 months between. We had to wait over half a year to find out. A lot of people, and I say that from experience. I'm sure you've noticed it working in the comic shop. If you talk to anybody about watching The Walking Dead, most will tell you they quit watching after Negan killed Abraham and Glenn.
Exactly.
And you've got your few that are like, it was just too brutal. To which I'm like, have you watched the same show I have? Do you remember Noah's death? That was horrific. We watched him get his face ripped off. Yeah. Remember that when Noah was yes. Nicholas
in the revolving door.
I mean, that was horrific. So you're trying to tell me that watching him get their brains bashed in was too much, and it was too brutal, too gory. Can't do it. But you the season before watched Noah get his face ripped apart, and you were fine with it.
Can you believe Joe Rogan even said that?
I think it's a show about people who come back from the dead and eat living people.
He said,
I feel like being too gory is not a complaint you can throw at a show like that.
Well, he said when the Negan thing happened, it basically just turned into torture porn for him.
And how?
He stopped watching it.
That's the stupidest shit I have ever heard in my life. I get mad at that because I hear that a lot. And it's like,
it's just torture
was
porn.
It too brutal, or are you just trying to sound super sophisticated? It was just too brutal. I mean, do I need to point to other parts of the show that have been extremely brutal? I mean, dear God, you watched, and I know that it's tougher watching, I'm sure the argument would be it's tougher watching a person brutalize another person versus mindless zombies.
Yes.
But still, Noah's death was horrific. I still think to date that's one of the most horrific deaths on the show. And you were fine with it? Watching a teenager, essentially, I imagine he was in his late teens, age-wise, get his shit ripped apart brutally by zombies and... Mm-hmm. But, watching Negan bash in their brain. And the thing was, too, people acted surprised. Even if you didn't read the comics, you knew that a brutal death was coming. I'm sure you knew someone who read the comics and told you this shit it's going to be brutal. Like, it was expected. It was freaking expected, man. It makes me... I'm like, you know what? You can make that argument on a show like How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, my God.
If Ted Mosby bashed someone's brains in and you go, I can't do it, man. This is too brutal. This isn't, I get it. Like, that's a lighthearted show. You didn't, whatever. If it's in the freaking Lion King, which, by the way, ends with Scar being ripped apart, you just don't see it. But, I mean... I could understand. It's The Walking Dead. And where were those people in Game of Thrones when the mountain exploded over Martell's head? To me, he sat there and shoved his thumbs into his eyes, and he's sitting there screaming bloody murder. Like, that was hard to watch. But
I guess they figured because that was consensual combat. I don't know. I don't have a problem with any of this stuff.
It just made me, I know I'm ranting, but it makes me so mad when I hear that. Because I'm like, dude, you're watching The Walking Dead, man.
Yeah.
We've watched people get disemboweled. We've watched Rick shove a machete through someone's head, bite someone else's throat out. We've watched... I wouldn't call the Lori thing wasn't that bad, but I mean, we watched Herschel get his head hacked off.
That too, yeah,
brutally, like one solid slash, and then had to watch the governor find a dying, wounded Herschel trying to crawl away with what little life he had left, and the governor sits there and takes 3 or 4 good swings. Yeah. And then we see Herschel's decapitated body laying there. Where the fuck were you at when that happened? But down Negan bashes a few brains. The thing is, it was an emotional episode. They can say what they want about it being brutal torture porn. It's not that. It's that their emotions, like with me, when Herschel died, I was like, I'm done. I'm done. Screw this show. But it was just me reacting off of emotion, which to me means good writing, because I was so invested in that character To watch him die that kind of death just messed me up. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's much the same way. Glenn has always been like a beacon of innocence in the show, and you watched him get his brains bashed in. I don't feel it was any, it was gory. It was, but I feel like it's more of an emotional response. Because I feel like half the people that say that too only kind of watch the show when like their family's watching it and they just happen to see that and we're like, oh my God. But anyways, I'm sure I'm wrong on all of that and people can rip me apart in the comments. I am fine with it. Trust me. I know I asked for it, but that's just my take on it.
Rip you apart like they ripped Noah apart.
Right. I mean, I get like the practical effects of like Glenn's bashed in head and his hands sitting there twitching and he's kind of like moving a little bit. That was disturbing.
Did his eyeball come out?
Yeah.
I only watched it the one time. I couldn't remember.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I thought too, it was brilliant the way I can actually take screenshots from that episode and show you how well they match up with the comic. So, in the comics, the same thing happens. He hits Glenn really hard, and Glenn's sitting there with his eye popped out. And in the comics, he don't say the whole "I'll find you." He just tries to say Maggie.
Yeah, that's
and
all.
then when Negan does the whole, it sounds like you're trying to speak, but you took a hell of a hit. I hit you so hard, your eyeballs popped out, and it is gross as shit. Yeah. If you look at that panel in the comics, Negan's leaned over with his hands behind his back, and you can see the bat, like he's holding the bat straight up, like this. I know you can't see me, the listener, but he's kind of leaned over talking to him with the bat going, like, in the show, he's taking that exact same posture. If you pay attention, it's just like the comic. They to me, I think that's awesome that they took that much time in the cinematography of it to try and make certain parts of it match up to the comic panels.
Do you think what he did was necessary?
Who?
Negan.
No. I mean, I get his school of thought. Like, if I roll up on your group and I tell you this is how it's going to be, and you agree, you might agree to get yourself out of that situation, but I don't know if you're taking me serious or not. And especially if I let you all live now, you're going to think that you can get that kind of treatment again. So you're more likely. So I completely understand the thought process of find a new group, pick someone out of that group, and kill them brutally to show what you will do, what you're capable of, and they're more likely to fall in line and just be terrified and traumatized and, not wanting to go through that again. But,
Let me ask you one more question, if I may. Do you think what Negan did to Glenn is worse than what Rick did to Gareth? How do they stack up? Tit for tit.
Oh, no. What Negan did to Glenn was way worse. I mean, well, I don't know, though. Tit for tit, man, because you got to look at it from Negan's perspective. The thing is, according to the Saviors, that was the rule anyways. Whether they would have snuck into the, like my argument, I would say like the satellite outpost. Yes. Negan was kind of justified in taking vengeance out and killing a person or two because they killed an entire outpost of people in their sleep, which is a very snaky way of, waging a war. So from Negan's perspective, I get it. Yes, it was necessary. However, the thing with, that was his rule anyways, is they find a new group, they kill one of them, just like, what's his face told Abraham, Daryl, and Sasha was like,
before they blew him up.
We normally have to kill one of you. That's what they normally do, is kill someone. So regardless of if the sanctuary, if the satellite outpost would have fell or not, if Negan would have found that group or ran into them, it would have went much the same way. He still would have killed someone. So that, to me, in my mind, makes Negan's actions worse. At least with Rick. Rick killed someone who was actively hunting him and his group. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not like Rick went into where Gareth was at and killed him, or even forced Gareth into a situation to kill him. Rick and his group were being actively hunted by Gareth and his group, so they set up a trap and then brutally killed. No, Rick's was way more justified as far as the grand scope of things.
Okay.
That was a really good question.
Yeah, you got me thinking, yeah.
Now I have one for you.
Oh, God.
If Merle were in the lineup with Negan, how do you think that would have went? Because I like to think Merle would have been a wonderful savior.
Oh, wait, if Merle was on his knees, or if Merle was in a...
No, well, kind of, but like, well, I'm talking about on his knees in the lineup with Rick and the group.
So Merle has made it as far as Alexandria, and he's on his knees before Negan.
Which means he probably had to have changed a little bit in order to have been with the group this long. But nonetheless, do you think Negan would try to recruit Merle after, Merle, if I were Negan and I got to see some of Merle's personality, I'd be like, yo, this guy is going to make a great savior. I'm going to make him one of my generals.
Yeah, and we're going to have a lot of fun together.
Oh, absolutely. Probably go take a vacation, have a boys' night,
Yeah, no, I think Merle...
Do you think he would have kidnapped Merle instead of Daryl? Do you think Merle would have gotten the bat? Because I don't see Merle cowering.
I think Daryl... I think Abraham still would have got it because I just think he did. He would have.
So you think Merle would have made it through that alive?
I think he would have.
I don't see Merle backing down. The only reason I see, that Merle kind of was submissive to the governor, I like to think it's because the governor basically saved his life. So it was one of those more so, he felt indebted to the governor. Whereas with Negan, he don't know this guy from Adam. So, this guy's threatening to kill you. Bring it, bitch.
I think Merle, just being the same kind of man as the governor, would have been sort of the perfect ambassador, and he maybe could have used diplomacy to avoid it all-out war and maybe even change the governor's heart a little bit. He could have been like, look, I used to be just like you.
You mean Negan?
Negan.
Governor.
I'm sorry, Negan.
Which storyline are we on?
No, we're in Neganville. Okay. And he would just be like, look, I'm the same kind of man as you, and I'm still a savage. I still like to have a good time.
Because I'm a savage.
But
racist, bigot.
Yeah.
Damn it, what else would go with that? I'm a savage. Racist, bigot, asshole.
Right. But I think he possibly could have appealed to Negan enough to make him change his ways.
Maybe.
And it would have been all right.
I don't know, man. I feel like Merle would have probably died. Because I feel, especially with Daryl's life on the line, I feel like Merle, because we know Merle will play the sacrifice play. I think that he fully intended to kill the governor, but I think a big part of him kind of knew there was a better chance he wasn't going to come back from that than he was going to be successful. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's why I was drinking that whiskey.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, screw it. I'm probably going to my death.
I want to get that painting someone did of Merle in the car drinking the whiskey with the smile on his face and walkers clawing at the window.
I've seen that. I'd love to have that for my man cave.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to have it right here and now.
What would you do with it?
I would admire it.
Oh, as you can tell, we're a little loopy. We're a little tired.
And but vacation's right around the corner.
Vacation's right around. They can't get here soon enough. I'm going on a bachelor party. Trip to the beach,
and I'm going to trip on mushrooms.
Is that what you're going to do for your birthday?
Yeah, I got the mushrooms, and I don't know if it'll be Saturday or Sunday, but one of the 2 days I'm going to trip on the mushrooms.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Well, it's a sacred sacrament. But anyway, tune into Weird Wednesday to hear more about that.
Yeah, so we'll be doing Weird Wednesday next week, and Tuesday I'm not 100% sure if we'll be doing a Patreon cast or it just depends on how much time we've got to work with. And Tuesday's a busy day for you normally, right?
Yes, Tuesday will be busy.
So it might come down to we have to decide, do we do a Patreon podcast or do we review, do we do our regular review of Fear the Walking Dead? If you're not tripping too hard, we could do a live stream Sunday night after Fear the Walking Dead.
It depends. We may need to do a live stream while I'm mid-trip just to see
that
how
might
it goes.
Be fun. That might be fun. But stay tuned. We definitely got a few podcasts next week before we're out of town. And, other than that, I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. Don't forget to check out our Patreon for dirt cheap. You can get up to 8 extra podcasts a month. So check that out. Help support the channel. And if nothing else, give us a like and a subscribe. And we appreciate you.
Yeah, but now we've got to go.
Yep. Glooty-ooty-oo. What's that from?
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
I don't know what that's from.
That's one of my favorite parts of Rick and Morty's last season. Glooty on the ship. Remember the app making Alien?
Oh, okay.
Remember that? You want to build an app?
Oh, right.
And then remember when he leaves Jerry and Morty after saving them, he goes, glooty-ooty-oo, and he spins off, and Jerry's like, just to be clear, he's never done that before now, right? And Morty's like, no, never.
Oh, man, I'm going to have to rewatch.
Dad, I want to say something. This morning I thought you were an idiot. There's nothing else. And nope, quit fucking up. Oh, man, I love it. But, yeah, we'll see you again soon. I'm going to go I need to get a nap, really. I'm like that sleepy, stupid stage right now, so I'm going to go work on that. Oh, I'm Justin.
I'm JP.
And we're the Podcasting Dead. And scene. What did you do? What did you just do that you're not ever supposed to do?
What happened?
What did you just do?
I can't tell you.
Well, find out on next week's episode of The Podcasting Dead.